Listen to me. You think your scars disqualify you. You think they make you less valuable. I'm here to tell you that your scars are the reason someone else can survive. Your scars are the stories that make you strong. They don't say you're broken. They say you're broken. They say you're battle tested. You're still here, still fighting, still grinding. That's strength. That's power. You see, everybody wants the glory, but they don't want to go through the grind. They want the reward, but they don't want to suffer the wound. They want the blessing, but not the bruises that come with it. But I need you to understand something. When you look at that scar on your body, on your heart, on your mind, that scar is not something to be ashamed of. That scar is proof. That scar is proof. That scar is evidence. That scar is the receipt. It says, I paid the price. I went through the fire. I walked through the storm, and I made it out the other side. See, when you walk into a store and buy something valuable, they give you a receipt. That receipt is proof that you own what you worked for. It says, this belongs to me. I earned this. And that scar on your life is saying the same thing. I earned this strength. I earned this wisdom. I earned this peace. That scar is proof you didn't give up when it hurt. Some people walk around ashamed of what they've been through, hiding the marks life left on them. That makes them weak. But I'm telling you today, it makes you a warrior. It makes you chosen. It makes you elite. Only a few are willing to go through what you went through and still stand up. You didn't tap out. You didn't surrender. You didn't stay down when life knocked you to the floor. You didn't let depression win. You didn't let heartbreak destroy you. You didn't let failure define you. You got up. Even if it was slow, even if it was messy. You got up with blood on your knuckles and tears in your eyes, and you kept going. That scar says, yeah, it almost broke me, but almost doesn't count. That scar is your badge of honor. See, we live in a culture that worships perfection. Everybody wants to post the polished version of their life, the filtered version, the highlight reel. But I'm not impressed with perfection. I'm impressed with people who've been through hell and kept going. Oh, he kept going. I'm impressed with people who carry scars and still show up with courage. I'm impressed with people who've lost everything but still walk with purpose. That's strength. That's real. And that's what that scar says about you, that you're real. That you faced some stuff most people couldn't even imagine, and you didn't fold. You didn't compromise. You didn't give in. You didn't let the pain change your character. You came out stronger, wiser, bolder. Some people got their scars in silence. They suffer behind closed doors. Nobody knew they were fighting battles in the dark. Nobody knew they were carrying weight they never asked for, but they kept going. Quiet warriors, silent soldiers, carrying emotional scars, mental scars, and I see you. Just because the world didn't notice the fight doesn't mean it wasn't real. That scar, even if nobody else saw the wound, it still matters. It still speaks. And it says that you're built different. And I know what some of y'all are thinking. Look, I'm still bleeding. I haven't even healed yet. But I need you to hear me. The fact that you're still breathing, the fact that you're still here, that's the first step. It means you're not finished. The pain didn't kill you. And if it didn't kill you, it can't define you. That scar, when it finally closes up, will remind you of what you overcame. You might not be fully healed yet, but healing is coming. It's a process, a journey. And that scar, when it forms, is the sign that the worst is behind you. You survived the blow. You survived the betrayal. You survived the loss. You survived the trauma. And that scar is your survival certificate. People will judge your story without knowing the pages you had to write with tears. They'll look at your smile and never know it was built on years of pain. But that scar, it carries the truth. It carries your authenticity. And your authenticity is your authority. You have the right to speak about strength because you earned it. You have the right to speak about persevering because you lived it. You didn't read about endurance. You bled for it. That scar gave you a voice. It gave you a testimony. It gave you a platform. And let me be clear. This isn't about glorifying pain. I'm not saying the pain was good. I'm saying your power was greater. I'm saying your resilience was bigger. I'm saying your comeback is stronger than your setback. That scar is not the center of your story, but it is a chapter. It's a part of the book that shows just how much you were willing to fight for your future, just how deep your hunger was, just how real your drive is. I don't know who needs to hear this, but stop hiding what you've been through. Stop covering the very thing that could set someone else free. Somebody's out there struggling with what you already beat. And they don't need a hero. They need a human. They don't need a lecture. They need a lifeline. And that scar, that's the bridge. That scar tells them, if I made it, you can too. That scar tells them you're not alone. That scar becomes hope in the hands of someone who's hurting. So stop wishing it never happened. I know it was hard. I know it hurt. I know it was hard. I know it hurt. I know it changed you. But it also shaped you. It grew you. It made you dangerous in the best way. Because now you're not soft. You're not shaken. You've been through the storm and you didn't drown. You've been through the fire and came out refined. You're not who you were before the scar. You're better. You got perspective. You got clarity. You got strength on a level you didn't even know existed. You thought it was going to destroy you, but it delivered you. I want you to walk with your head high. I want you to stop apologizing for your past. I want you to stop minimizing your pain. That pain built something. That pain taught you something. That pain elevated you. It gave you the grit, the grind, the glory. Every scar in your body, your heart, your mind, it tells a story. And that story ends in victory. You are not broken. You are built. You are not damaged. You are developed. You are not weak. You are a warrior. And your scars, they are the receipts, the evidence, the undeniable proof that you were strong enough to pay the price and powerful enough to survive it. Some of you are walking around like everything is good, like you're okay, like nothing ever touched you, like life didn't leave a mark. But let's be real. It did. You've been through some things. You've seen dark days. You've cried in silence. You've screamed into pillows. You've questioned your worth, your purpose, your future. But instead of being real about it, you covered it up. You slapped a smile on your face and said, when deep down you were bleeding, and I get it, you didn't want to seem broken. You didn't want people to pity you. But hear me, it doesn't happen in the hiding. Healing happens in the revealing. And I'm not saying go tell the world everything you've ever been through, but I am saying this. You can't be free from what you refuse to face. You can't heal what you keep buried. The truth has power. And that scar, that pain, that experience, it matters. And it's time to stop acting like it didn't happen. The reason some of you still feel stuck, the reason you keep cycling through the same hurt is because you never brought it to the light. You've been trying to ignore it, numb it, push it down, but it keeps coming back. It keeps showing up in your relationships, in your self-talk, in your fear, in your silence. You got a scar, but instead of letting it tell a story, you've been trying to erase it. But you can't erase what made you. You can't delete what developed you. That scar is part of your DNA now. You can choose to hate it, or you can choose to honor it. You can choose to pretend, or you can choose to process. But pretending doesn't heal you. Pretending doesn't bring peace. You've got to confront it. Let me tell you something. When you try to hide your scar, you end up hiding your strength. Because that scar is not just a reminder of the pain, it's a reminder of the power. It's a symbol that says, I went through it, but I came out. It's a symbol that says it tried to break me, but it didn't win. When you show your scar, you show your victory. When you reveal your scar, you reveal your strength. But the longer you hide it, the longer it owns you. That wound might be closed. But if you keep pretending it never existed, you're never going to fully step into your healing. You've got to be honest about what you've been through, not for sympathy, but for freedom. There's liberty in the truth. There's release in the vulnerability. There's healing in the exposure. But society taught you to cover it up. Society said, stay strong, and by strong, they meant silence. They meant stuff it. They meant keep going and never stop to deal with it. But that's not strength. That's suppression. And suppressed pain always finds a way to leak. It leaks through your anger. It leaks through your isolation. It leaks through your fear. It leaks through your insecurity. You can't outrun what's inside you. You've got to face it head on. Because when you bring that scar to the surface, when you tell your truth, you don't just begin to heal. You begin to lead. Somebody out there is waiting for you to speak so they can breathe. Somebody's suffocating in silence, and your story might be the oxygen they need. See, some people think their scar disqualifies them from greatness. They think nobody's going to respect me if they know what I've been through. But the opposite is true. Your authenticity makes you powerful. Your transparency makes you trustworthy. People don't follow perfect. They follow real. And the realest thing about you might be the thing you've been trying to hide. That mistake, that trauma, that failure, that loss. And it's not your weakness, it's your weapon. When you open up about it, you take control of the narrative. You stop letting it haunt you and start letting it help you. And scar becomes a message. That scar becomes a light. That scar becomes a legacy. And let me be clear, sharing your scar doesn't mean you're still wounded. It means you're wise. It means you've grown. It means you gained perspective. You're not who you were when the pain happened. You're not stuck in that season anymore. You've evolved. But if you keep hiding the scar, people can't see the journey. They can't see the evolution. They just see the mask. And masks don't heal. Masks don't connect. Masks don't change lives, but your story does. Think about it. When you go to the hospital and see a doctor, do you want one who's only read books? Or do you want someone who's been through the fire, someone who knows pain firsthand, someone who understands what it feels like to struggle and survive? Your scar is your credibility. It says, I've been in the trenches. I fought battles. I know what it feels like to be broken. And I know what it takes to rise again. That's the kind of leader people trust. That's the kind of story that breaks chain. But you gotta be willing to reveal it. And I know it's scary. I know it takes courage. I know it feels vulnerable. But vulnerability is not weakness, it's strength in its rawest form. It's choosing to show up when you can hide. It's choosing to speak when you can stay silent. It's choosing to live free instead of bound. And the truth is, when you reveal your scar, the people who matter won't judge you. They'll respect you. And the people who don't get it, they were never meant to walk with you anyway. Your tribe, your purpose, your calling, it's all tied to your truth. So stop hiding your scar. Stop downplaying your journey. Stop pretending like you didn't fight through hell. Be proud of the fact that you got battle marks. Be proud that life tried to break you and failed. Be proud that you're not the same person you were before the pain. You're stronger. You're deeper. You're wiser. You've been through the process, and now it's time to show the product. Not just the polished version, the full story, the messy middle, the lessons you learned, the tears you cried, the nights you almost gave up but did. You're still here for a reason. That scar didn't end you. It empowered you. It turned you into someone who can lead others out of darkness. But you got to show it. You got to speak it. You got to stop hiding and start healing. Not just for you, but for the people you're called to impact. Because your story matters. Your voice matters. Your truth matters. That scar is not a sign of weakness. It's the sign you were strong enough to survive the worst and still choose to show up. So take off the mask. Stop running. Stop hiding. Stop hiding. Show the scar, share the story, and watch how your truth becomes someone else's breakthrough. That's healing. That's strength. That's freedom. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. Let that settle in. You don't need the perfect life, the perfect background, the perfect reputation, or the perfect journey to walk in purpose. Some of y'all are waiting to be flawless before you step into what God called you to do, before you believe you're worthy, before you stand up and speak out. But perfection is not a requirement for purpose. Power doesn't come from being untouched. Power comes from being tested. Power comes from walking through the fire and coming out with a new kind of strength, a deeper kind of wisdom, a fiercer kind of determination. You've been led to believe that if you've got scars, if you've made mistakes, if you've fallen short, then you don't qualify. That's a lie. That's the enemy trying to disqualify you from the very thing you were born to do. Let me tell you something. God has always used broken people, imperfect people, flawed people. Look at every great leader, every world changer, every voice that moved generations. None of them were perfect, but they were powerful. Why? Because they were real, because they were willing to be vulnerable, because they didn't pretend they had it all together. They let the truth of their story shine. They let their humanity be a doorway for others to walk through. You're trying to get every piece of your life cleaned up before you believe you have value. But your value is not in your perfection. Your value is in your perseverance. Your value is in your honesty. Your value is in your resilience. You've got people waiting on you to lead, to speak, to move, and you're waiting until you think you're worthy. Let me say this loud for the ones in the back. You already worthy. You were born with purpose. Your power didn't disappear because you failed. Your calling didn't vanish because you messed up. If anything, your power got stronger because now you know what it feels like to fall and get back up. Some of you are walking in shame, believing that your past disqualifies you. But listen to me. The past is not your prison. It's your platform. The things you've been through, the things you survived, the things you thought disqualified you, those are the very things that make you powerful. Because there's someone right now going through what you already overcame, and they don't need a superhero. They need someone who understands. Someone who's been through the same storm and found a way out. Someone who's walked through pain and didn't let it make them bitter. Someone who's been broken and still chose to rise. There's power in that. Real power. And that kind of power doesn't come with perfection. It comes with authenticity. It comes with scars. It comes with being honest about the journey. You can stand up with your head high and you're open and say, I've been there. I know what it's like. I'm not perfect, but I'm powerful. But I'm powerful because I didn't quit. I'm powerful because I didn't stay down. I'm powerful because I took the pain and turned it into purpose. You think your mistakes are a curse, but they're a classroom. Every failure taught you something. Every disappointment shaped you. Every setback refined you. And now you've got wisdom other people can't buy. Now you've got a perspective no textbook can teach. Now you've got a strength that only comes from experience. You didn't get here by accident. You didn't survive by luck. You survived because you've got a fire in you that refuses to go out, even in the darkest night. Stop hiding behind this idea that you're not good enough yet. You're more than enough. You're more than capable. You're more than ready. The only thing stopping you is the lie that says you have to be perfect before you can be powerful. The truth is, your imperfections are where your real power lies. Your vulnerability, your honesty, your transparency, those are your weapons. Because when you stand in your truth, you become unstoppable. Nobody can use your past against you when you've already made peace with it. Nobody can shame you when you've already owned your story. And here's the thing. People don't trust perfect. Perfect is intimidating. Perfect feels unreachable. Perfect looks fake. But when you show up with your flaws, your realness, your truth, that's when people lean in. That's when people say, if they can do it, I can do it too. That's when people find hope. Your brokenness isn't a barrier, it's a bridge that connects people to healing, a bridge that connects people to purpose, a bridge that helps them see their own strength. So the question isn't, are you perfect? The question is, are you willing to be real? Are you willing to take what you've been through and use it? Are you willing to take your pain and turn it into power? Are you willing to stop hiding and start walking in purpose? Even if you don't have it all figured out yet, you don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You need to be committed. You need to be courageous. You need to be consistent. Stop aiming for flawlessness and start aiming for impact. Every time you show up in your truth, every time you speak from your heart, every time you walk into a room and own your journey, you shift the atmosphere. You inspire. You lead. You give people permission to be themselves. And that is power. You've been through enough to know who you are now. You've earned the right to lead. You've earned the right to rise. You've earned the right to shine. The next level of your life doesn't require a perfect version of you. It requires the real version. The version that's been through the fire and came out refined. The version that's been knocked down and still stood up. The version that's got scarred and still smiled. That's the version that's gonna change lives. So stop waiting, stop doubting, stop shrinking, and start embracing your power, not in spite of your imperfections, but because of them. Because you've been shaped by storms, you've been strengthened by struggle, you've been stretched by loss, and you're still here, still breathing, still ready. You are not here to impress, you are here to impact. You are not here to perform, you are here to lead. And your power is not in your perfection. Your power is in your presence, in your willingness to be seen, to be heard, and to be real. That's where greatness lives. That's where legacy begins. And that's the kind of power that doesn't fade. It multiplies. You're not perfect, but you are powerful. And the world needs that version of you right now. People are inspired by your scars more than your success. And that's the truth most folks don't want to admit. See, we live in a world where everybody's showing off the highlight reel. Everybody flexing their wins on the gram, every bragging about their bank account, their new car, their vacations, their promotions. But the truth is, nobody connects with perfection. They connect with the process. And in that process, there's pain, there's pressure, there's setbacks, there are scars. Let me tell you something. When you walk into a room and all you do is show people the championship ring, the trophy, the result. Yeah, they might clap, but they can't feel you. But the moment you lift up your sleeve and say, oh, let me show you what I had to go through to get here, that's when the room leans in. That's when people stop scrolling. That's when hearts open, because the scar is where the story is. People want your truth, not your trophies. You think you're helping people by acting like everything's always been easy? Nah, you're pushing them away. You're making them feel like they're behind, like they're the only ones struggling. You're making them think, oh, well, I could never be like her. I could never be like him. But the moment you tell them, hey, I've been through it too. I had my heart broken. I failed that exam. I lost that job. I battled depression. I lost someone I loved. I messed up bad, but I didn't give up. That's the moment you become real to them. That's the moment you become relevant. Your scar speaks a language their soul understands. You ever talk to somebody and they try to motivate you, but they've never actually lived what you're living? It doesn't hit the same. But then someone comes along who's been through it, someone who's fought those battles, cried those tears, wrestled with those demons. And when they talk, it hits different. It cuts deeper. Because now you know, they're not preaching, they're testifying. Your scar is your testimony. Look, you might be trying to hide what you went through. Maybe you think it makes you weak. Maybe you're embarrassed about your past, about your mistakes, about the seasons where you weren't strong. But I'm telling you, that scar is where your strength was forged. That scar is a receipt that proves you paid the cost. That scar is the evidence that you didn't fold, that you fought. You want to know why people love comeback stories? Because they remind us that falling isn't the end, it's just the beginning. And comeback stories aren't written in gold ink. They're written in blood, in tears, in scars. You see, success will impress people. Scars will impact them. Let's take it even further. You know why your scars matter? Because someone else is bleeding right now from the same wound you healed from. And they don't need your perfection. They need your process. They don't need your mask. They need your message. That scar on your soul, the one you try to cover up every time you walk into a room, that might be the exact thing someone else is praying for a solution to. So you gotta stop hiding it. You gotta stop being ashamed of it. You gotta own it. I need you to understand that your story has power. And not the filtered Photoshop version. I mean the raw, uncut, no makeup, straight from the heart version. That's where the gold is. That's where transformation lives. When you show people the scar, you give them permission to be honest about their own pain. You normalize the struggle. You bring healing through transparency. Think about it. The most powerful speeches, the most life-changing books, the most unforgettable leader. They're not the ones who hide behind their victories. They're the ones who say, I've been through hell, and here's how I made it out. Now, let me challenge you. The next time you want to motivate someone, don't start with the win, start with the wound. Tell them where it hurt. Tell them how you cried. Tell them how you almost gave up. Because when you do that, you're telling them they're not alone. You're telling them there's hope. You're telling them that scars can heal, and that strength can come from the struggle. And listen, scars aren't just reminders of what happened. They're markers of how far you've come. Every scar has a story. Every story has a survivor. And every survivor has something to teach. You didn't go through what you went through just to survive. You went through it to lead, to teach, to build, to inspire. And you can't do that if you're always pretending like you were never broken. That's the lie culture tells us. That vulnerability is weakness. But I'm telling you, vulnerability is victory. So stop chasing applause and start chasing authenticity. Stop trying to be impressive and start trying to be impactful. Because the moment you show your scar, the moment you open up and say, yeah, I've been there, that's when you become a beacon for somebody else. They'll see your scar and think, if they made it, maybe I can too. That's real power. That's legacy. That's leadership. So yeah, let the world see your scars. Let them speak. Let them shine. Because those scars aren't symbols of weakness, they're stories of strength. Some of y'all have been through things so deep, so painful, so raw that you thought it was the end of you. You thought it would break you for good. You thought you'd never get up from that kind of hit. But you did, and you're still here, still breathing, still fighting, still growing. You didn't just survive, you learned how to live again. And I need you to understand something. That wasn't just for you. That experience, that trial, that one that turned into a scar is not meant to be buried. It's meant to be used. Your scar is somebody else's survival guide. Your pain has a purpose far beyond you. See, too many of us think that our story only matters when it's neat, when it has a happy ending, when it looks good. But that's not what saves people. That's not what sets people free. What sets people free is the real, raw, unfiltered truth. The truth about the nights you couldn't sleep. The truth about the days you didn't want to get out of bed. The truth about the thoughts you couldn't tell anybody about. The truth about how you were barely holding on. But you held on anyway. You found the strength to keep going even when you had every reason to stop. You made it out. You made it through, and now you have something powerful. A scar that tells a story of survival, and I get it. It's not always easy to share that story. We live in a world that celebrates success but avoids the struggle. A world that wants to see the blessing but not the bruises. But real transformation comes from the struggle. The breakthrough comes from the broken places. And the people you're meant to impact, they don't need your image. They need your insight. They don't need a superhero. They need a survivor, someone who walked through fire and came out with wisdom, someone who knows what it's like to lose and still choose love, someone who's fallen apart and still found a way to rebuild. When you show your scar, you show people what's possible. You say, oh, look, I've been through it. I know what it's like to feel alone. I know what it's like to feel invisible. I know what it's like to question if life would ever get better. And that connects with people in a way perfection never could. That makes people feel seen. That makes people feel safe. That gives people hope. Hope changes lives. Hope saves lives. But here's the problem. Some of you are still hiding your scars. You're still trying to pretend it didn't happen. You're still trying to move on without dealing with what went down. You're ashamed of the process, so you want to skip straight to the praise. But listen to me. The process is what makes the praise real. The struggle is what makes the success inspiring. You've got to be willing to pull back the curtain. You've got to be willing to get honest because your scar might be the exact thing that helps someone else find their way out of the darkness. You think your story is too messy, too painful, too embarrassing? No, your story is medicine. Your story is ministry. Your story is a mirror. It reflects truth, and that truth sets people free. There's somebody out there right now going through exactly what you survived. They're asking the same questions you asked. They're feeling the same pain you felt. They're fighting the same battles you won. But they don't know there's another side to this. They don't know healing is possible. They don't know joy can come after the tears. They don't know strength can come from the suffering. And your scar can show them that. It's not about having all the answers. It's about showing up with your truth. It's about saying, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm living proof that you can come back from this. It's about turning your scar into a compass, a guide, a roadmap. You've been through territory they're just entering. You face demons they're still trying to name. You've cried the tears they're trying to hold back. And your story can be the light in their tunnel. Don't underestimate what you've survived. Don't minimize what you've been through. That situation that almost broke you. That was training. That was preparation. That was positioning you for impact. And now it's time to give that pain a purpose. It's time to speak. It's time to lead. It's time to tell your story, not for attention, but for transformation. Not to impress, but to empower. Because every scar carries a testimony. And every testimony has the power to set someone else free. Sometimes the people around you need your scar more than your smile. They need the version of you that knows what it's like to fight for your sanity. The version that knows what it's like to question your worth. The version that knows how it feels to lose something or someone and keep breathing. You don't have to be a celebrity to be a blessing. You don't have to be famous to be effective. You just have to be real. You just have to be honest. You just have to be willing to say, me too. Because that's what people need. They need to know they're not alone. They need to know someone else made it through. They need to know they can make it too. And sometimes all it takes is your story, your voice, your scar. That's how healing spreads. That's how hope is multiplied. Let your life speak. Let your scars teach. Let your journey be a light. Because what you've been through didn't happen for nothing. You didn't survive just to survive. You survived so you can serve, so you can help, so you can lead others through the same valley you crawled through. And you don't have to be perfect to do that. You just have to be willing. So I'm challenging you. Stop hiding the very thing that makes you powerful. Stop covering up the evidence that you'll hear. Let the scar speak. Let it shine. Let it remind you and the world that you are not a victim. You are not a victim. You're not defined by what happened to you. You're defined by how you rose from it. And your story has power. Your pain has purpose. Your scar has strength. And when you share it, when you offer it as a guide, as a lifeline, as a testimony, you become a part of someone else's healing. You become a part of their strength. You become a part of their story. So don't keep it to yourself. Someone's breakthrough is tied to your transparency. Someone's healing is connected to your honesty. Someone's future is waiting on your past. Your scar is not a reminder of what hurt you. It's a reminder of what you conquered. Let it guide someone home.